Mine says you are currently live.
Yay, we are live! Welcome, viewers, to Dressing for the Stage. And I am so very excited to have Kim Nowlin joining me today. And before I tell you a little bit about her, I just want to say welcome to our replay viewers, because you're the only people who are going to see it from the beginning. Live viewers tend to come in 3 minutes in, 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in. So thank you. We just appreciate the fact that you are catching us when you are. I am so excited about this topic because dressing for the stage is one of those things that I think is paralyzing for speakers, especially those who maybe you're a writer and you just have a heart for speaking, or that's a dream that one day you'll speak. I know that before I ever would have considered myself a speaker, when somebody would just say, hey, can you hop on the stage and be an MC? I spent more time thinking about what I was going to wear on that stage than I ever did about what I was going to say. And that's not because I'm vain. That's because of the insecurity that comes with knowing you're on a raised platform in front of 25, 50, 500 people. So I have invited Kim Nowlin of A Fashioned Life to join me today. And Kim has this amazing background in both the fashion and the wellness industry. But what I really, really love about Kim is that she just has this holistic view, because she also has 2 decades of work in ministry, and she's really spent most of her life, I would say, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, empowering women to use the gifts that God has given them to fashion the life they desire to live. So Kim, why don't you tell me a little bit about what gives you this passion to talk about this topic and to help people become confident in dressing for the stage?
Great question. Well, it's just something I'm going to say it was the way I was fashioned by God. Like this passion that I have, it's the way He created me. And I finally stopped fighting it a few years ago because, sometimes in the Christian circles, what you wear seems to be like, oh no, we're not supposed to think about that. We're not supposed to be concerned with that. And so I'm like, okay, well maybe, and I'm one of the pastors at my church. So it's like, well, should I not be about this? And God was the one that really spoke to me and said, this is how I made you. And this is one way that you can encourage my women. And so I just have decided to fully step into that because I see it every time I'm with someone, whether it's a group or one-on-one. I see just when the light bulb goes on and they make that connection about how they're beautifully and wonderfully made and how they can really best showcase that with what they wear. So that's really how I got into it. I worked in the fashion industry for many years before I got into ministry, and now God has just decided to bring the two together. And so it's just a beautiful blend of two things I'm very passionate about.
Well, I love that. And if this is a topic that resonates with you, if you're watching and you're like, oh, wow, I never really thought about that I need to think about what I wear because I've been worried about that vanity aspect, please share this with those you know, because I think this is an important topic. Because for me, so I appreciate that you brought that up, because for me, I have a professional background. So when I think of dressing for the stage, I don't think about vanity at all. I think about practicality. I think about the times I've sat in an audience and seen a panel, and I see a lot more of some people than they would like me to see.
Yes.
Just because of the elevation.
Right.
So I want to tell people why I've invited you and what kind of a little bit about how we met. So we met at a conference. I sat through a fashion consultation with you. And now I get to sound vain. My whole purpose for this consultation is I was surrounded at the time, at least, by women who were doing this really cute trend of wearing tall boots, usually over jeans, but sometimes just bare-legged, tall boots and either skirts or these like long tunic style tops. Yeah. And their legs were so warm when it was cold, and they looked so stinking cute. But I had this problem because I have 18-inch calves, and most boots are like 17 inches shaft at the widest. So I was like, I'm going to have this consultation with this fashion consultant, and she's going to tell me where to find the boots that are going to fit my calves. And so we had a conversation, and you were like, what's the one thing that you would like to get out of this conversation? And I said, and I told you that whole story. And I said, I just want to be able to do this. And you kind of and you said, but what if that's not a look for you? And I went, well, what do you mean? And you said, well, in everything we've talked about, it doesn't sound to me like that's a look that you would typically wear. You're showing me pictures of things you like. That doesn't fit the style of what you've shown me. And I was like, yeah, but that's what all the cool kids are wearing. And you then kind of shared with me how part of being trendy, part of being current is being true to who you are. Yep. And so the point that you had brought up to me was that you need to dress to be the best version of you. Could you tell our viewers a little bit more about that?
Oh, absolutely. And I love that story because I do think that's what happens to the majority of us when we're, like you said, we're finding ourselves on the stage for whatever reason. If it's an MC or we're speaking, whatever the situation is, we look to like, okay, what am I going to wear? It's like, well, let me look at some speakers and see what they're wearing. And I think like in Christian circles, it's like we have on one end, we have Joyce Myers, who has, her suits and she always looks amazing. And so people are like, oh, okay, that's what I have to look like. Or we have kind of what you described, which I would say is a Jen hat maker. She's got the big earrings, she's got the boots, and we're like, okay, but that's what I have to look like. And it's like, no, the most important thing you could do for yourself is to dress the best version of you. It's like what looks like it's authentically you, not trying to be someone else. Now, you can get inspiration from someone else, looking at them and saying, oh, I like that, I appreciate that, but it doesn't mean you have to wear that. So there's a difference between getting inspiration and just trying to be someone that you're not. And don't we want to be comfortable when we're speaking on the stage? It's already an uncomfortable situation to begin with. So we want to make sure that we're dressing to be the best version of ourselves. And what I find though sometimes is people are not sure, like, well, maybe they don't know what style that they are, or what they prefer to wear. I hope you can't hear my dog barking in the background.
It's okay. People love dogs. Keep talking.
Oh, it's either dogs or kids busting in. And the kids, I said, please don't bother me. The dog, well, she's got a mind of her own. So I apologize for that. I apologize for that. So like I said, it's good to get inspiration. Like you were inspired by that, right? You're like, oh, I kind of like that. I think that looks great. But is that going to work for who I am? Is that really my style? Is that really what I'm wearing on a daily basis? And so it's good to get inspiration by that. But finding out what style that you are drawn to is actually a pretty easy process. I suggest sometimes people go and look at your favorite actress or actor and see, wow, whose wardrobe would I want? Like, let's say it's Jennifer Aniston, and kind of look and see what is she wearing. I would classify her as like a classic modern, like just these classic modern pieces. So you can get some ideas from that, but you always want it to be authentically you, because you don't want to look uncomfortable or look like someone that you're not up on the stage.
So I love that, right? Because it really is about comfort. And I've tried to wear like the peasanty stuff, right? Because those flared sleeves were like all the rage for a while. And and I'm there and I'm like playing with it. And it's a distraction. It's a distraction to me. And then the fact that I'm fidgeting with what I'm wearing is a distraction to those who are trying to like pay attention to what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think when you're putting together a wardrobe, which I know we're going to talk about, when you're looking at what can I wear when I'm speaking, again, it's like, look at what you're wearing on a daily basis. I don't have a speaker wardrobe and a regular wardrobe. Like what I wear on a daily basis, like what I have on today, I've worn on stage. And so it's not that you're going to have this separate wardrobe. It's going to be like, what pieces can I do to elevate that look? Because we do want to have an elevated look when we're presenting, but it doesn't have to be this separate, like, oh, I've got all my suits for when I speak, and then I've got all my casual clothes when I don't.
I love that. So I'm going to say hi to Jennifer. She's joining us today. And she's giving us some applause. And so we've talked about dressing to be the best version of you. And now I'd like to segue into our audience, because I think for those of us who want to speak, or those of us who do speak, we're all about serving our audience. But I don't know that we think necessarily how what we're wearing does that as well. So can you expand on that a little bit for me?
Yes, absolutely. I do think it's important that we understand that when we're dressing for the stage, we're not dressing to impress our audience. We are dressing to serve our audience, which is what you just brought up. What we're wearing does serve the audience. It shows respect for them, right? They've come to hear us speak, and we are dressed in a way that shows that we're an authority and what we're coming to speak on. And I think it also shows respect to the event coordinator, to the people that have hired you to come and do this presentation. Now, even if you're not getting paid right now, maybe you're a speaker who's getting a hug and a mug, you've still been hired. And so it's like you're showing up for a job. You are showing up for a job, so think of it in terms of that. And that's how I can really show my audience that I am so happy to be here with you today, that I took the time to dress like this. Now, I'm going to tell my story, Tonya. I know you've heard this story before, but
I was hoping you would.
Yes, I have to, because it's such a good example of how you can actually alienate your audience by what you're wearing. So I attended MOPS, which is Mothers of Preschoolers, for many years with my children while they were preschoolers. And so one of our meetings, we were all very excited to have the speaker come. She was the principal of a local Christian school, and she was coming to speak about kindergarten readiness. So we were like totally excited about this topic and to hear from her. So when she was introduced, she came up on the stage, and I found it a little curious that she had on a black tracksuit and some tennis shoes. But I, quickly didn't want to be judgy, like, okay, gosh, that sounds so judgmental, right? But then she actually said to us, wow, you guys all look so nice today. When they told me I was coming to speak to a group of stay-at-home moms, I just thought I could be this super casual. So, immediately, we all turned and looked at each other and like, did she just say that? Like, because we're stay-at-home moms, we would be dressed like hobos or something like that. Like, we wouldn't care about what we're wearing. And so people say, oh, no, it doesn't matter what you wear. It actually does. You are speaking. Your wardrobe, what your outfit is speaking before you even say a word. And then she actually verified what her outfit was speaking. So it actually does matter what we wear. And I do want us to consider our audience. That actually is an important point. And she did consider us, but not in the right way. It's like, yes, MOPS. I'll use that as an example. I speak a lot to MOPS groups. And yes, women who attend MOPS are pretty casual, but you've attended, right, Tonya?
Yeah, I used to be a coordinator.
Right? Oh yeah, I know you're yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Okay, so there's anywhere from yoga pants to super dressed up, because the ladies, this is their day out. They're ready to look super nice. And so it is, though, basically a casual atmosphere. So as a speaker, I wouldn't want to show up in a suit, because that is out of place. So you do want to consider your audience. You want to be one step above your audience. So I wear jeans oftentimes when I speak at MOPS, but I have on like a jacket. I have a nicer blouse. I elevate my outfit so that I'm comfortable. I fit with the surroundings, but yet I'm just one step above my audience. And so that's important for people to consider. If you're speaking a lot to, say, the finance industry, well, then you might need to actually invest in some suits and some nicer pieces. But for the most part, I think we're all speaking to, casual. I even speak at church a lot, and our church is super casual. So I don't, I'm not like dressed one way when I dress for church. So the best way you can serve your audience is to talk to the coordinator, talk to the person who is bringing you, and find out from them, what is the attire? What do your attendees wear? What would you prefer me to wear? And that way you know for sure that you're going to show up, and you're going to show up ready to serve your audience.
So I really like that you tie in the event coordinator, right? Because she, whether you're getting paid or not, she, or sometimes he, is your best partner in knowing how to serve the audience, because they know the audience better than you do. Like if you're speaking at a MOPS group or even a small ministry group, it's not like you can Google search them, right? You can't do a whole lot of like investigative work. So you you talk with the event coordinator, and I think you can ask some key questions. Do you have a list of key questions that you ask? Or like something that I always ask is, you know, do women at your church primarily wear dresses and skirts, or do they wear pants?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's absolutely one of my questions. And also, like for a MOPS group, let's say you're asked to speak at Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
A good question is this your Christmas tea, or is this your Christmas? Are you all dressing up for this event? But your question is, I think, is perfect. Is what do you wear? What is worn at if it's a church or the group? What is the general attire that people wear? And I asked just for myself, like, what do you see? What would you like me to wear? Is it casual? Is it business casual? Or is this a dressy event?
I love that you pointed that out, because I think a lot of speakers, especially people who follow my page, get their start at MOPS groups or moms groups. Mm-hmm. Yep. And they do like a good themed meeting. I spoke at a group this spring, and what I didn't know is they have a theme color for every meeting. Oh. And I found out because the event coordinator gave me the courtesy of letting me know. And she said, we've got March 11th, which is our green meeting. So everybody will be there in green. You can wear green, but you don't have to. Just know if you want to stand out, don't wear green. Or you could come to our April meeting, and that's going to be our pastel pink meeting. And I was just like, oh, well, like, what clothes do I have? Okay, I'll do this date. This works for me. But, but she did me that favor. I think sometimes we have to do a little more work because they don't know how to help us.
Right. I think that's true. I mean, you've been a MOPS coordinator, so that isn't always maybe what they're thinking. Or they assume as a speaker, you know what to wear. You're going to come however you come. Mm-hmm. So it's just good for us to be on the offense and be proactive about that, and just to ask them and what attire that their attendees wear.
Great. Well, Jen really appreciates that point. She said that she's never thought to ask how the audience dresses, but it makes a lot of sense to her. And then Bethany seems to be surprised by theme color, but it was a first for me. But again, I think, I learn something new every time I speak, right? Like I have this long list of questions that I just add to it. And I think attire is a good one. And you've given us some great tips there. Now, so we've talked about dressing to be the best version of you. We've talked about dressing for your audience. The third point, I think, is to dress wisely.
Mm-hmm. So for me, sorry.
No, I was going to say, so go ahead. Tell me what that means to you.
Well, what that means to me is, first of all, taking the first 2 points and now we're going to create that wardrobe. And I'm going to even say just outfit, because I don't want people to be overwhelmed. Like, what? I have to have a whole speaker wardrobe? Well, no, reality is we don't speak to the same group every single time. You could actually have one outfit that you bring out every time you're speaking during the course of a year. So being wise means I'm not going to go out and buy something. And what you said at the beginning is so true. I think oftentimes we don't think about it enough to where it's like the day before and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to go out. I have nothing to wear. I need to go out and buy a whole new outfit. Or we feel pressure somehow that I need something new. So we want to be wise and first look at what you have. I suggested that earlier, look through your closet and see, for me, again, as someone who primarily speaks at MOPS, I'm going to look and see what do I have that can elevate my casual stay-at-home mom wardrobe. And so I look and see what pieces that I have. Is it a jacket like this, or a blazer, or a nice cardigan? So I begin to see what pieces I could pull together. And then it's okay to write things down and say, this is what I'd like to add to that. I would love to have a new blazer. I would love to have a nice pair of, jeans. I wear destructed jeans. I don't actually encourage you to wear those when you speak, but that's just me. I know it's a trend and everything. So do you have a nice pair of jeans? And you can make that list. It's like, when I go shopping the next time, these are the items that I'm going to buy. That's what I do when I'm helping people with their closets. It's like, it's not about just going out and spending a bunch of money. It's about looking at what you have. And when you're looking at what you have, please be mindful of what condition those items are in. It's like, are there stains? Are they ripped? Do they fit you properly? I'll tell you, clothes that fit are like trump everything else. You can have, seriously, I have taken pants I've bought at Target to be altered so they would fit me better. And they look better and more expensive than a $300 pants that actually don't fit me. I don't have a pair of $300 pants, but that's the example. Sometimes spending more isn't always the key. It's having things that fit you. And so if you need to have some things altered, or if you need to pass some things on, just take a really thoughtful eye to everything that you own. And also don't forget shoes. I love shoes, so I'm always thinking about shoes,
Right.
but I think a lot of us just like throw on a pair of shoes and it's like, oh, wow, this is a really nice set. And you look down and then there's these old worn out shoes. So look at your shoes. Do they need to go to the cobbler and get cleaned up? Most leather shoes, you can do that. You don't have to go buy new shoes, but just make sure that you look clean, neat, and tidy when you're going up. And in preparing to be wise, decide the day before what you're going to wear. I don't know about you, but I travel sometimes when I speak, like an hour or so from home on a weekday, which means I still have to get the kids out for school. I still got to get all this going, and I'm going to drive now to speak. If I don't know what I'm going to wear, then that's a recipe for disaster right there. If I haven't already pulled it and make sure that it's ironed. Do people still iron? I do.
Some people do. My husband ironed.
Yeah. And maybe just for this, you could, right? Just so that it looks, a t-shirt is like, I have so many t-shirts. I love t-shirts, but a wrinkled t-shirt compared to a pressed t-shirt, there's a big difference in how that looks, right? And so we just want to be wise about how we're putting things together. This isn't about spending a lot of money, and being wise that when we're getting ready for the event, that we're not putting ourselves behind the 8 ball because we haven't decided what we're going to wear before we go. I've actually had frantic calls before from women that I've helped that the day of they're, throwing, what should I wear? I don't know what to do. And you don't want to go into a speaking event like that. And also being wise, something to consider is your microphone situation where you're going. Okay. So for example, if they said I have a lapel mic, then this big old necklace I have on today, I would not wear if they were going to give me a lapel mic because it's going to make noise. If like today, I actually like to wear, there's some big earrings I like to wear with this outfit, but I knew I'd have my AirPods in. So I'm not going to wear earrings that are dangling that could cause noise or distraction to the audience. And, we're also don't want to be distracting to the audience either. We want to be wise about that, like wearing something that, you can be yourself and express yourself, but we don't want to overdo it to where we are the attraction and not our message, right? We are presenting both ourselves and our message, but we want to be wise about that and make sure that we're not overdoing it to where the message is getting a little lost between, with our wild outfit.
So that's a good point. And to that point, Jen had a question where she was saying that she thinks that, in her mind, younger audiences would appreciate distressed jeans more than, say, women over 50. So could you help her understand your thoughts on distressed jeans, for instance, or maybe even some of those younger, trendier styles?
Yeah. And you know what? That's a great question because now that I'm 55, I don't know if you ever watched Everyone Loves Raymond, but did you ever watch that show?
I did.
Okay. So his mom was always giving his wife a hard time about everything. And so one time his wife was dressed a little risque to prove a point. And his mom comes in and looks at her and she's beautiful, great body, everything. And she's like, dear, there comes a time in every woman's life where she still could wear whatever she wants, but she shouldn't. And I'm like, I love that. I don't like to be bound by rules, but at the same time, I think it's good just to be thoughtful about it. And yes, younger audience, we do want to be relevant. And I actually have struggled with this of late. I finally got over myself, but am I still relevant, to the MOPS moms? Like I'm over 50. they're all in their, I could be some of their moms, and so I want to come across as someone who's relatable and relevant, but I don't want to try and be them. And so in terms with the ripped jeans, like I wear them all the time. I just think and I guess it depends on how much distressing it is. Some like my daughter has some that are ripped out, down the leg. I mean, I think you need to use a thoughtful eye with that, and just know the audience, know how much distressing it is. And that's just something like a guideline I'm throwing out. You have to do, again, you have to do you. I just think it's not always appreciated. And she brought up a great point. Age would make a difference. I think people that the older that they are, they don't appreciate the fashion side of. I mean, my parents always give me a hard time when I wear my distressed jeans, and so I hope that answers her question.
I think it does, because she just now popped in with a comment about dressing appropriately for different generations, and what you got me thinking about is retreat speaking. Like, I think you can get away with a girls' night out outfit, maybe a little bit of distressed jeans on Friday night, but you can't get away with that on Saturday, or especially on Sunday
morning.
Yeah,
absolutely. That is a great point. But I think, again, it goes back to being the best version of you. I may be speaking to a younger audience, but I'm not going to show up in an outfit that is for a younger woman. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not how I'm. The best way you can be relatable and relevant is to be yourself. But it's a good point to bring up too. It's like, take a thoughtful eye to your things. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are. Sometimes you get stuck in a rut, and do some of your items need to be updated, right? Could you add a key new piece to your wardrobe to kind of update it a little bit? So it's finding that balance, and look at everything. Look at your glasses. Look at if you wear glasses, all your accessories. Just look and see your hairstyle. I mean, looking at everything. I love your hair. I've loved it since you cut it.
Thanks.
I know, and I know it's been a while, but I love it when you did that. And hair will grow back. But if you're saying things like, well, these glasses have served me well since 1995, it might be time to update. And same thing with our hair. We can kind of get stuck in a rut with that. Like, I've always worn it this way. So I just did this with my stylist the other day. I'm like, okay, this is reading a little old to me. Can we just, kind of update it a little bit? Can we make it a little edgier? And I think she achieved that. And so
I think she did too.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, I love what you said about, considering the Friday night retreat as opposed to the Sunday morning. And so I'm not saying I'm a guideline girl. One of my new phrases is, don't be a fashion Pharisee. The Pharisees were just so the letter of the law. They totally lost the spirit of the law, right? And so we can be that, you never wear white after Labor Day, or, your shoes and your purse always have to match. It's like, no, they don't. And so these are guidelines, just things to think about when you're getting ready. If I was thinking about wearing some of my distressed jeans, I'd have to think about it. Like, okay, who is this audience? And ask the coordinator what they think. I mean, they would probably say it's fine, but you just want to, be thoughtful about it.
Yeah, you just brought up so many really good practical points, I think. And, the idea of, you're not just dressing for your audience's age, but also dressing for your own. Like for my hair, right? I stopped coloring my hair about 1.5 years ago. Just made a decision. Now I'm 41, prematurely gray. This is just the life. But, in having that consideration about going to my natural color, my cut suddenly became way more important than it ever had been before, right? Yes. Because I don't want to look like I'm 80 and I go to the shop once a week to get my hair done. And then I sleep it, So yeah. So I do, I pay a lot more attention to my cut than I think I ever did before, because I want to make sure that it's still true to my personality. And, when you're talking about practical clothes and how you don't have to have a closet full, I remember when I met you, and I still have it. I have my blue speaking dress. It's a bright blue that I love. It's got a geometric print. But what I love most about it, I bought it when I was still nursing my youngest. So I've had it for 4 years. But what I love is it's a wrap style dress, which I think
Mm-hmm.
works really well for
Yes.
me, but it has a high wrap, which
Yes.
was really important to me as a nursing mom. But then when I met you, I had lost that baby weight. The dress still fit. But what I was struggling with was I always wore a black sweater over it when I was on stage. And the black sweater was looking, the hemline was falling kind of funny. But I love the dress so much. And I just couldn't visualize how else to wear this dress. And you had shared with me, and I still have it, this really cute, like charcoal silvery kind of velour jacket. Looks kind of like a jean jacket. It's a cabbie piece.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Right? Like I went out,
Yeah.
I bought it right away. And you know what? And I love that because that I feel trendy in it. I look trendy
Mm-hmm.
in it. I'm still getting compliments, 2 years later. But it's one of those pieces that I wear in my daily life. And I can hop on stage and it's dressier than a jean jacket,
Yes.
but it still has that same youthful feel. And I think it's the kind of piece that a 50-year-old woman could wear very
Amen.
easily if that was her style.
Yes. And not to plug them, but Cabby is a
Yeah.
great example. It's CABI, if people aren't familiar with it. It's a party shop. You can buy their things online now, but they will attach you to a stylist, which is
Mm-hmm.
actually pretty helpful. But I do think their pieces, they really are great they transcend a lot of ages. I would say 20, I don't know how they do it, but 20 and up, maybe more 30 and up, but for sure they do a great job of having pieces that are would maybe considered trendy, but they're age appropriate, and they're not so trendy that you couldn't wear them year after year after year. They just are very fashion forward. So there are pieces out there like that, like you said, that can give you a more relatable look,
Mm-hmm.
without looking like you're trying too hard. I admit a guilty pleasure of mine is the Real Housewives of Orange County, and they are all my age. And some of the things they wear, I'm like, oh, it just you just look like you're trying too hard,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't want to do that. We want it's finding that balance of who we are as a person, where we are season of life, right? And then who we are speaking to. But and even in saying that though, I know someone who came, if there was a woman who, like a 70-year-old woman that came to speak to mops and was just authentic herself, and it was a little bit more old fashioned than I would wear, I would still appreciate her because she's
Mm-hmm.
being who she is, right? And instead of trying to fit in with us. So it's a balance of wanting to be relatable, and relative, but not looking like you're trying too hard and then kind of losing, who you really are.
So I like that. That's really what the key is, right? You don't want to look like you're trying too hard because that is how you lose who you really are.
Yep.
And so you've given us 3 great points that I'd like to run through. So dressing for the stage really involves dressing to be the best version of you, dressing for your audience, and dressing wisely, which is both dressing wisely for the situation, but also wisely for who you are and what you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
doing. And I know that if anybody wants to connect with you, they can go to kim-nowlin.com. Do you have any other added tips? Because you've given us so much today, Kim. I so appreciate this.
Oh yeah, sure. Oh, I just want to say with my it's not a website, it's a web page. I was sharing
Okay.
with Tonya. I'm in the, but you can contact me there. I hate when we say this, but I'm in the process of rebranding myself. It makes me sound so important, but I am, and so I've been making some changes, and so those will be coming. But you guys can contact me through my email if you have some questions for me, individual questions, but. I don't know what else I would add. I would just, again, I just think it's about discovering, if you don't know what your style is, like discovering that.
Mhm.
I haven't really, I've been kind of getting away from helping people individually and doing more of groups.
Mhm.
But people can reach out to me, and I'll be happy to discuss with them if they wanted some individual help with.
And do you do Zoom consultations in addition to
Yes.
in-person stuff? Okay,
Yeah,
so that's
actually,
beautiful.
I prefer that. Yeah, actually, most of who I've worked with recently, and a lot of our leveraged friends,
Mhm.
it's been all virtual, and I have a really cool tool Um, Actually, you and I should talk after this.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, I'd love to use you as a guinea pig, so to speak. I've been using it, but it allows me to make lookbooks. You can upload pictures from your closet, and
Oh,
I can play with those and put them together and give you a little lookbook like of which would be helpful for speakers. So I have been doing that more with like your audience here, not so much with individuals anymore, because that just
got it.
takes up individuals, like just anybody, saying, hey, I
Mhm.
need help, because of time. And then I've been doing a lot of group, like with MOPS groups and whatever.
Right.
Like I do have a whole talk for that where I can help a lot of people at once. But for people that, like, if Jennifer or anybody else who watches this, they can reach out to me. This audience, I would love, I would definitely
I
make
love
myself
that.
available for that.
Well, and thank you, because I think that, like most of us speak, not because we don't feel like one-on-one time is valuable, but because we want to make a great impact. And we're one
Right.
person with a limited amount of time.
Yep.
So I think that group situations are amazing. And virtual is like the next best thing. So
Yes.
Kim, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who is watching today. And again, if you know people who could benefit from the advice of dressing for the stage, I hope that you will share that. But we will say goodbye for today, and I hope everybody has a great weekend.